The first adventure campaign for Coriolis, the Great Dark, is landing in stores, and we're going to take a first look at the Flowers of Algorab right after this. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Today, we are going to dive on in and take a first look at Coriolis, the Great Dark, the Flowers of Algorab from Free League Publishing. This is the first adventure campaign for the Great Dark, and this box set carries an MSRP of $39.99. That will include the PDFs if you order from Free League Publishing. Now, if you just want to get the PDFs alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $24.99. Having said all that, let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got the Flowers of Algorab for Coriolis, the Great Dark. Let's get the shrink wrap off here to get started. I will point out, this box has a lot of heft. When I first picked this up, I thought, wait a second, is there a hardcover book in here? Because it is very weighty. I believe they are softcover booklets, but still, I don't think there's a lot of empty space in this box. Just pointing that out right off the bat. So, a few things to mention before we jump on in. First of all, my friends over at Free League Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at every single item in this box, but I will point out we want to get a really good feel for what's inside. So we are going to kind of take a deep dive, at least as deep as we can without revealing too much. And of course, lastly, this is an adventure campaign. So if you're a player and your game master has picked up the Flowers of Algorab, maybe they've ordered it, maybe they're talking about ordering this, please keep in mind there are going to be spoilers ahead. Now, you just saw me take the shrink wrap off, so I don't know what's in here, but I can guarantee we will see some spoilers as we're flipping on through these booklets. So just warning you ahead of time. All right, let's take a look at the back here. I am not going to read all of that flavor text, but take a peek at this. The death of an old ruined delver in a missing stone tablet marked the beginning of a strange set of events in the depths of Ship City. Soon, the explorers are drawn into a web of intrigue and ancient secrets that threaten the very fabric of the Lost Horizon itself. The Flowers of Algorab is a complete campaign for the Coriolis, the Great Dark RPG, where the explorers will partake in investigations in Ship City, embark on perilous expeditions, and travel down the Hammurabi Arm in search of lost secrets. All right, let's open this up. I think what we'll do is we'll take a peek at what the extras are, and then we'll get into the booklets. So we've got a bunch of dice. Very nice. Got a dozen. We have a dozen dice here. And these are cut dice. I can tell you right now that these are going to hold up very nicely. Very cool. So we got our own set of Coriolis, the Great Dark dice in this campaign set. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot in here for our $39.99 MSRP. All right, let's take a look, see what we've got with the cards. So we do have initiative cards. I can tell you right now because we got them right here. 1 through 10 should be. Yep, 1 through 10. Nice card stock on these too. Looks like we have some equipment. Flamethrower, Zapty long gun, grape pistol, lumen rifle. I'm skipping some, of course. We've got the standard delving suit, the light delving suit. Then we have some discovery cards. I think these are going to be items that we run across, or the players get to run across in their expeditions. So we've got all of that. Get these out of the way. We've got the campaign book. Wow, that is a hefty campaign book. A couple hundred pages, maybe? 192, so pretty close. Then this is our expedition booklet. So we're going to take a look at those last. Looks like we've got some counters. Dual-sided. Yep. We've got that. We've got a map. I think it's probably the known system. The Lost Horizon is what the map is. And if you're familiar with the maps that Free League Publishing includes in their box sets, you'll already know that these are really nice because they're not just paper. These are also treated. So these will hold up really well. You get a map of Ship City. Nice. If I remember correctly, I think this map is also in the core book. Coriolis is a very unique science fiction role-playing game. It is in a new edition. The Great Dark is essentially a second edition of Coriolis. The vibe of the game has changed a little bit as well, because the first edition of Coriolis was kind of an Arabian Nights and space vibe to the proceedings. Now it's a bit more of a kind of a, I don't want to say dungeon delve in space, but a lot of expeditions. This is all a kind of a lost area that no one really knows about. So we already know that the campaign is supposed to be the player characters are in search of a lost, I want to say it's an Ark-ship, that a legendary Ark-ship that's disappeared, years and years ago. I think that's what the campaign's about. We'll find out in a minute, though. Really nice there. Looks like we also get a layout of, this is probably the player character's ship, the Akander. It's a pretty cool looking layout there. The deck plans, very nice. We have the scale. It looks like these are some adventure locales. It looks like a couple of planet surfaces that the player characters are going to explore. Here's our map of the charted sphere. And then the Rigel. Okay. I bet you that's the Ark-ship. Hey, I told you there'd be spoilers. You were warned. Here we have the Algorab arm. So that is the, I guess, the sector that this is all taking place in. This looks like we've got some handouts too. Welcome aboard the Telmerian Tusk, the finest ferry of Pier 17. I wonder if, nah, we're not supposed to cut these out, are we? Because that's handout 1, 3, 2, 11. I don't know. No, we couldn't, because then you'd ruin this. Okay. Maybe the player characters receive all of these at one time. We've got a scan of the lower vaults. This must be an expedition location. It's like got a few of those. Yep, looks like we got 4 different locales there. And then we have a report summary and another location, the Well of Souls. And we've got the all-terrain rover Rhino. I really dig the artwork and the character design style, the model style of Coriolis, the Great Dark. Very, very unique vibe to it. Kind of, it's sort of weird because it's got a futuristic and then also kind of a Victorian look to everything. Thought that was kind of cool. And then we've got the shuttle. It's the Grasshopper. Okay. So let's take a look at the campaign book, or whatever this big book is. It is the Flowers of Algorab book. A little dust on it in the box. All right. First off, let's give credit where credit is due. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. Let's take a peek right there. And once again, we're going to be flipping on through this. We're not going to be looking at each and every page. But we have our introduction, the first and last man, the search for Nadir, Gahand, Gate to the Horizon. And of course, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing a bunch of these names, but still. Ninhulam, the Golden Star, Auriga, the Eternal Storm, Habanatum, the Graveyard of Worlds, and Algorab, the Dreaming God. So here's our forward. Who doesn't love the mystery of a lost ship? Mary Celeste, Fleur de Mal, HMS Terror, and its sister ship Erebus, names that have captured the imagination of people throughout the centuries. The thought of a whole vessel disappearing into the vastness of the sea is as terrifying as it is intriguing. In a game like Coriolis the Great Dark, where space is a direct parable for the sea, what could be a better source of mystery than the fate of the Ark-ship Nadir? Nice. All right. So we'll get our introduction telling us what's in the box. We got a campaign synopsis. A long time ago in a horizon far away, two Ark ships set out on humankind's most ambitious journey ever undertaken. They were Zenit and Nadir, and each housed tens of thousands of colonists in deep sleep. Their goal, to reach a faraway star system and establish a new home for humanity. Alas, that is not what happened. 500 years into the journey, the Nadir disappeared, never to be heard from again. While the crew of the Zenit mourned their sister ship, they had no choice but to continue their mission. They would go on to arrive at their destination 5 centuries later, only to find it settled by humans who had discovered star portals, making star travel almost instantaneous. The story of Zenit, Coriolis, and the Third Horizon is known. After all, it is a place from which the diaspora fled. However, the fate of the Nadir has been a mystery all these years. Until now. Dun, dun, dun. All right. A little information about the fates of the ship. We're going to skip that. Once again, I don't want to throw a bunch of spoilers out there. I just want to give you an idea what's cooking in this campaign. It says the goal of the campaign is to introduce the players to the setting and some important concepts while adding a few new ones and setting the stage for future adventures and campaigns. The important concepts are Ship City with its factions and intrigue, voyages on the slipstream, and in particular, the Hammurabi Arm, or something to that effect. The nature of the Pale Halls, the existence of the Dreamers, and of course, Nadir's fates, and the Seceder civilization's existence on the other end of the abyss. All right. So it looks like we're jumping right on into the action right here at the mission. Death of an explorer. In the first part of the adventure, the explorers are invited to the funeral of veteran explorer Levan Najar. After the ceremony, they are approached by Master Mosca, who asks them to investigate the missing tablet that Najar had in his possession before he was killed. After that, the explorers are free to investigate Najar's death and follow the clues left behind. As far as gameplay for Coriolis, it is very much scene-based, so you're not going to have a lot of sandbox action. You're not going to see a lot of hex crawl. So we tend to see scenes leading into each other. Now, does that make an adventure for Coriolis, the Great Dark, linear? Yeah, in a lot of ways. But as I've talked about before, I know a lot of people talk about railroads and such. Railroads aren't always a bad thing as long as the players don't feel like they're being railroaded and there's a lot of cool scenery on the trip. So it looks like we've got some of the different factions and NPCs. Then we have the expeditions. When the explorers begin their journey beyond the horizon, they do so aboard the slipstream cruiser Ark-ship, a compact, overworked vessel with a loyal crew and limited resources. This first expedition, known as the Search for the Spheres, is conducted with the help of a few recruited specialists and any guilders willing to risk the early unknowns. The Ark-ship and its crew are detailed in the expedition booklet on pages 23 to 32. Later, the focus shifts to the larger and far more ambitious Algorab expedition, in which the great ship Rigel takes the lead. This second expedition gathers a small fleet, multiple guild delegations, and a renewed sense of purpose, but also far greater risks. The Rigel and her commanding crew are detailed on pages 32 to 41 in the expedition booklet. Then it's going to talk about how we can use these sections. Expeditions themselves in Coriolis, the Great Dark, are, I don't want to necessarily say a mini game within the game, but they do have specific mechanics, as each of the player characters will have their specific roles that they play as Delver crews, right there, talking about the Delver crews. So while Coriolis, the Great Dark, does use a modified Year Zero engine, there is a lot more to it than just a standard Year Zero engine sort of role-playing game. So just taking a peek here at various different events, checking out some of the artwork as well. I got to say, for $39.99, I am mightily impressed by what we've got in this box set. You would think just this single book alone, even though it is a soft cover, would probably be going for $29.99, maybe even $39.99. Very nice. I like how it seems as if your expeditions really ramp up too in importance. So the player characters start off and they're just trying to learn what happened to this explorer, and then suddenly they're on the trail of what happened to this Ark-ship. And then I believe that's going to lead them into even bigger stakes as far as the Flowers of Algorab. But this book is packed. So all this that we're taking a look at, these are all events. These are all chapters of the campaign. So it looks like this would take up a good amount of time, good number of sessions to complete. Of course, obviously enough, I will have a review of this box set in the not too distant future. In fact, I'm going to do my very best to maybe get a review out there in the next week or two, because this is just arrived in stores. So that is the campaign book. This is our expedition booklet. So let's take a look at this. I think this is going to give us details about the ships, probably. We already know the crews are in here. So this is talking about the systems of the Hammurabi Arm, the way station. It's like different planets. So this appears to be a bit of a gazetteer to kick us off here. Yep. And then we get into our ships. So there we go. With the deck plans there again. Our cruise. Nice. This looks really cool. All right. So that is a peek at the expedition booklet. So that's it for this time out. If you like the Gaming Gang and would like to support the outlet, you can do so in a few ways. First, by utilizing our affiliate links to the One Bookshelf sites, such as DriveThruRPG. To do so, simply visit thegaminggang.com, click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up to help keep thegaminggang.com around. You can also make a one-time donation by way of PayPal and even become a monthly member of our Patreon. You'll find links down in the show notes. Also in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. It's absolutely free to hang out. It's absolutely, fuck, dude, English, man. It's absolutely free to sign up. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell because it will not only let you know when I share videos such as this unboxing and first look, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, thank you very much for watching. I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.